Hi guys, how's it going? How is everybody? Welcome to the new folks here. Welcome to the new dragons. Glad to have you. For returning subs, hey, hi, hello, how are you? Hope everyone is doing well on this fine Saturday, the eve before the 4th of July. Shout out to our boy, G-Dubs. I have a shirt that says G-Dubs and I'm so gonna wear it tomorrow. I literally have a t-shirt that says G-Dubs and his picture. And I love that shirt. I love that shirt to death. I will be wearing that tomorrow on the 4th of July. Hope everyone has a safe and fun 4th of July. Please be careful. Do not blow off any extremities with fireworks, okay? It's frowned upon. Keep your fingers, okay, everybody? Jazz hands. So she's been using the a little bit longer than we once suspected, which honestly I wish I would have said something about that, because I thought it was a little strange that she was so quick to admit she had a problem. I was like, wow, that didn't take long. It took me 1.5 years to be done. So I mean, I was like, well, I don't know, maybe she's done. And now it makes more sense that she's been doing this way longer. And a lot of things are kind of adding up for me. Like these past few months before the trap house and everything. I mean, I think I made my first video when she was just doing edibles, and I was like, this is so odd. Like, this is some very odd behavior from her. It's way longer than we thought. I don't know how long she's been doing it, but it's definitely been longer. And a lot of things are adding up. Some of this odd behavior that we've been seeing over the past few months is really starting to make sense to me, you know, and it should be making sense to you. There's some things I really want to address in the here and now. And there's things that I hope, not for narcissistic reasons, but for altruistic reasons, I want Chantal to hear this, because I at least want her to be warned, even though I don't think she will take anything I have to say at all. Like, she's just not gonna hear me out, but maybe she might if she's by herself without her live chat. Maybe she'll hear me out. Listen, I know what you're doing, okay? Oops. I know what you're doing. The last thing you want to do is mess with drug dealers. Okay, I'm just being straight up with you right now. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you right now. The last thing you want to mess with is a drug dealer. Coke dealers are dangerous. They're not warm and fuzzy people. They are dangerous people. Most Coke dealers carry weapons like guns. I've had many Coke dealers with guns, and I will tell you guys a story. I know some of you are wondering, like, why I got sober. The last day I used and drank, because I haven't even drank alcohol since September of 2000. Like, I haven't done anything. I don't do weed, I don't drink, I don't do nothing, unless it's like prescribed by a doctor and I'm under the supervision of a doctor. I don't do it. So the last day that I used was September 23rd, 2000. And I hooked up with a dealer at this well-known apartment complex in South Seattle that was very well known for drug dealing. It was common knowledge that it's a huge apartment complex. Like, it's huge. And it's huge and it's ghetto, okay? Just want to paint a picture for you. And so I went in there, I hooked up with this new guy. I'd never met him before, but he had like straight powder cocaine, which is hard to come by, to be honest. Like, it's a lot easier to get things like crack and heroin and meth than it is to get powder cocaine. But he had it, so I was down. And I had my friend with me at the time. Well, no, we're still friends, but she came with, and we were partying. And my good friend had a seizure on his floor. She went into a seizure, and I was freaking out because then she became unresponsive. So I was freaking out, high, not thinking straight, and I said, we have to call the cops. Or not the cops, we have to call 911. I said, we have to call 911, my friend's gonna die. I mean, I really thought she was gonna die. And the next thing I know, I have a gun to my head. And he's like, you call the cops, you're dead. And I was like, and at that moment, I was like, yeah, just go ahead. I don't even care anymore. Like, I don't care anymore, whatever. But I didn't say that, I was like, let me go. Well, then let me go. If you're not gonna let me call 911, then let me go. And he barricaded himself up against the door. And my friend started coming too. And I was like dragging her by her arm, and she was kind of coming around, and she was starting to stand up and stuff, and like it all happened so fast, but I managed to shove my way by screaming at the top of my lungs because I managed to get the door open. He was almost gonna shut it, and I'm pretty sure that if he had shut that door, I wouldn't be here. And I started screaming at the top of my lungs, which he then pushed me and my friend out into the hallway. And my friend was, by then, she was completely alert and awake, and I dragged her down the hall, and we got on the elevator and got out. All because I said we should call 911 because I was concerned about my friend. They ended with me just wasted in an AA meeting. And that was the last time I ever drank. The next day I woke up and I had arrangements with some people in AA to go to a Mariners game, and I had to go. I didn't want to go. I was super hungover, but my dad was like, you need to like get out of this house. Like, I'm so upset with you right now. And so I went to the game, and we had really good seats. And this was like 2000, so they were doing really, the team was doing super good. So like, it was just packed. It was packed. And everyone, of course it's a baseball game. Everybody's happy, like they're winning, they're doing great. I think Griffey was still playing at that time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I was just sitting there, and I was so ashamed. I couldn't even admit to the people I was with that I had what I had done the day before. Like, I was so ashamed of myself. I had so much shame for what I put my friend through, what I did. I felt like just a failure. I felt hopeless. But fortunately, that was my first day of sobriety. So, my first day of sobriety was at a baseball game when they were about to make the playoffs, I believe, or they got close. But so it's not really where you want to be when you're hungover and feeling like shit. But it was fine. And that continued to be my parents, getting me up and out of the house my mom would get me out of the house by noon to a meeting hall where they had meetings like all day. Like, they had like 12, 3, 5, 7, and 9 o'clock meetings. So my mom would drop me off in time for the noon, and then she'd pick me up after the 9 meeting. Like, they didn't want me in the house. That's where I stayed, and she'd like give me $5 for cigarettes and $5 for Taco Bell. Like, that's all I would ever get, like just enough money to get food and cigarettes. Like, at that time, I mean, my parents hated that I smoked, but at that time my parents were like, smoke away. So yeah, so when I see Chantal with her GPS on, in a live chat, on her way to her dealers, I don't care what she says or what she is trying to say to us. You don't want your dealers to catch wind of what you're doing. These are not good people. Drug dealers are typically not someone you want to mess with. So what are you doing? So for me, the reality is, because she's not going to listen to anybody, she's not going to change. Do I think she's going to get sober? No. No, I don't. I don't think so. I've sat in too many meetings and I've met too many people that are just like her. She is no different from anyone else I've ever met in a meeting who cannot get sober. She is just like everyone else. She has nothing unique or special about her situation. Been there, done that, seen it. Most of them end up in jail, they end up dead, or they just end up with like wet brain. I mean, like Shani's husband, Jason, Rev, like, he's fucking wet-brained, you know? Listen, if she can't even be honest, if she can't even admit what's going on, if she can't even get help, if she doesn't have anyone around her to get help, then who's gonna help her? Like, I hope to God the cops pick her up first, because she could be a cold case. Like, that's the reality of women who use drugs, especially cocaine. There's a lot of cold cases out there. And in fact, I'm going to be doing a true crime, my next one. Sorry guys, I know you want me to do the one about the one in Idaho, the doomsday weirdos. Like, oh my God, I will do that one. However, the next one, I'm going to do it because it's kind of close to my heart. The victims are close to my heart. So we're definitely going to do that one. And it's local for me. So anyways, so of course I'd like to see her get sober. Of course I'd love to see her be able to turn it all around. I would love to, but I don't believe she's capable. I think she is just incapable of doing what she needs to do to get help. She's been lying. I know a lot of people want her deplatformed. I don't. I'm not saying you're wrong to want her deplatformed. I totally agree where you're coming from. And I normally would completely 100% agree with you. Like, I liked that Shani got deplatformed from YouTube because of the child neglect. And I think that if you're gonna neglect your children and do these things, then you shouldn't have a platform. I also agree with that with people who abuse animals on YouTube. There's some YouTube channels that should be taken down because of the abuse towards animals, but that is a whole other topic for a completely different day, okay? But listen, there are some trashy people on YouTube. And yeah, some people's channels should be taken down. I think if you violate terms of, there's terms of service, yes. The only reason I say I don't want her deplatformed is because it's the only way I can make sure she's okay. Like, I check on her daily just to make sure she's fucking alive. And that's the only reason I don't want her taken down. I think her making this type of money it's not going to be enough after a little while, because once she gets deeper into her addiction, it's going to cost more money. I do believe she is in the process of being evicted. I'm pretty sure she's not paying the rent. And I feel like Pete's probably has his head in the clouds and doesn't fully comprehend the gravity of the situation. I think that Pete's is probably brainwashed by her too, to an extent. So everything that is happening right now is getting violently out of control, and she's live streaming, driving to Montreal. Now listen, good on you guys for catching that shit, because like, I know nothing about Montreal. So you guys need to come through for me, because I don't know the area. I've never been there. All I can tell you is what I see. And she's been chopping lines, snorting in the bathroom. She's got the saucer eyes. She's clenching her jaw. And when she had that one night where she was like sitting with Pete's and she had that wig on and she was like browning out really bad, and I was watching that and I was like, that is not edibles. I mean, she's having a panic attack, but I just cannot imagine that being just edibles. That had to be something else. I don't think I said anything, but I wish I would have, because now looking back, it's like, and like, roll your eyes when she tells us we're lying, we're just making up drama so we have something to talk about. No, girl, you give us plenty to talk about, all on your own, just by doing what you're doing. You're giving us plenty of content by lying. Stop saying we're the ones lying. You are the one that lies, not me. You. So the first, oh wait, hold on a second. Hold on. We're gonna get serious here.
Later. One debt to society later.
Got my AA big book. never thought this day would come where I would bust out my Alcoholics Anonymous book, but here we are. I have quite a few copies. But so this book was written in 1939 by the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is called The Big Book. It was called The Big Book because it was actually large, so that it was visible to the public. So this is basically, back in the day, back in the 40s, this is what people used to stay sober. This book here, because there weren't meetings. Okay, this is what people used. Okay, now you know way more about AA than most people, and congratulations. So I just want to read a few things because he says it way more eloquently than I ever could. So here we go. And we're just going to replace, just remember, I'm going to use, because this is alcohol, but like I said, it's all the same shit. Addiction is addiction. Doesn't matter what you're using, it's still addiction. So we're just going to, for the sake of the book, we're just going to call it alcohol. Here are some methods we have tried. Now this is talking about people who try to stop drinking, because every alcoholic goes through this. Every alcoholic goes through this, where I need to stop drinking, I need to stop doing drugs, I need to stop, so I'm gonna try. And we think that we can try our own methods. Like for me, when I tried to stop, I tried doing yoga. But then when I was done doing yoga, I would smoke weed. So that worked real good. And I tried, just smoking weed. Like, I'll just smoke weed and everything will be okay. And always, like, the alcohol would come back, and then eventually the other drugs would come back. So I always tried many different ways to stop on my own, which it didn't work. I'd always go back, and it would always be worse. And it just got worse and worse and worse every time. So basically, and I see Chantal doing this, and I'm just gonna wait for her. And she's kind of doing this stuff now. So you're probably gonna, I just want you to think about her and the things she said about how she's gonna stop and how she's gonna go to Europe and get healthy and all this stuff, and tell me this isn't her, okay? Tell me this isn't her. Here are some methods we have tried. Drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines. Okay, first of all, what the fuck is a natural wine? But I could totally see Chantal doing something like that. Well, this cocaine is natural. She said that. Weed is natural. It comes from the earth. Anyways, I digress. Agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job. Taking a trip. Not taking a trip. Swearing off forever. With and without the solemn oath. Taking more physical exercise. Reading inspirational books. Oh, she ain't gonna do that. Going to health farms and sanitariums. Accepting voluntary commitment to a silence. We could increase the list ad infinitum. Who is that? Who is that? That's her. He was writing about her. My God. So the first step in a 12-step group, this is the first step. It's the only one you have to do perfectly. Admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. So it's a two-parter. She's got the first part down. I don't think she has the second part. Without that second part, nothing's gonna happen. So let me see. And just a little bit of explanation about the disease and how it affects us is most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think this is back in the 30s. This book is incredibly sexist. Anyways, no person likes to think that he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove that we could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. 1939, okay? 1930-fucking-9. A little weird. I'm sorry, it's a little strange. You may not think it's strange. Some of you who've never had any exposure to 12 steps, this is just bizarre to me. Like, this is read at the beginning of every meeting. It's called How It Works. I'm not gonna read the whole thing because, my God, I can't do that. But this is read at the beginning of every meeting. So basically, welcome to a meeting. Glad you're here. Keep coming back. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to the simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Who's that sound like? Hey, takers? Anybody? Bueller? When I first heard this shit, I was like, oh, shit. I think I belong here. Yeah, I did. A little upset with myself that I didn't see this sooner. I mean, it kind of all comes together. Like, I remember seeing her doing that exercise video, and I remember thinking, what in the fuck is she doing? This is so odd. And I was just like, I thought it just maybe had something to do with her trying to develop some sort of body positivity or some shit. And like, I don't know, man, but I don't think she's capable of being rigorously honest at this point in her life. Now, maybe something will happen and she will be given no choice but to change, but I don't see that happening. She's just, I'm not saying it's not possible. It is very possible for her. A lot of people are just, they're ill. I feel like we'd have a lot less problems if we just looked at addiction differently than we do. It is very stigmatized. People think it's a morality issue. I have the few rogue comments for like, well, I don't believe in addiction. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I'm not going to change your mind. I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to share my perspective. So, who just got caught up in this and can't get out of it. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see stuff like this happen to people. And it breaks my heart for, honestly, my heart does break for Chantal, because I know like her attitude is shitty and she's terrible. She treats people like crap, but like, I know what she's talking about. I know, and it's so hard for me to, I can't make you understand what I see without you being an addict yourself. It's just like this unwritten code. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like I hear her talking and I'm just like, yeah, I know. And all I can say is, so what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna let this kill you? Like, that seems to be what you're going for with your health, the way your health is, like you're smoking cigarettes with blood clots in your lungs. Like, you're driving while you're high, you're doing cocaine in bathrooms. Don't tell me you're not. I'm a lot more solemn today because I'm just thinking about anything that could go wrong for her. And I just can't get out of my mind the type of coke dealers that are out there in the world. Like, watch my previous true crime story. I mean, it involves cocaine. And people robbed this guy. Now, he didn't just sell cocaine, but he sold drugs. Like, he was a major drug dealer. And these people, back in 1980, or 81. Shit, I've already forgotten. 81. Went and robbed this guy, and as payback, they got their heads beaten in with metal pipes. And this was all about drugs. Like, this shit happens. So, no, I don't think that that's what's going to happen to her, but there's worse things. Like, there's so many drug-related homicides and just all this stuff that happens, and Canada's not immune to it. I don't care. Canada's not immune to this shit. Like, there's plenty of bad things that happen in Canada. I'm sure it's not to the level that it is in the United States, but who's to say that this isn't gonna happen to her? So it's just, I hope to God none of these dealers find out that she's on YouTube, but they're gonna. And Kiwi Farms going out and figuring out where these people live could get her killed. Like, don't, for her own personal safety, please do not give out information on these dealers, because that could kill her. Like, do you think they want that information out there for everyone to know? Now, they're probably under police surveillance. Come on, they have a record. Like, Dom went to jail. I know he's been in jail. And I know he's been in jail recently. I know it in my heart that he has been in jail. I don't believe for a second. I know people say they heard the cops say welfare check. I listened to it over and over again. I didn't hear welfare check. I just heard, hey, how's it going? Who lives here? I heard nothing. Maybe I missed it. But like I said, I don't think they were there for a welfare check. I think they wanted information on him, the dealer. I think they wanted some information because they know. They watch these houses. The police watch these houses. They see who comes and goes, and they look for a patsy. It's nothing new. It's all been done before. The cops have been to her house again, probably because they want more information. It's not rocket science, I'm telling you. And also, maybe with all the extra police activity, the apartment building is like, you gotta go. Like, this is too much. You need to leave. Like maybe they've seen her videos. Maybe they think this is not what they want in their apartment. Maybe there's been a lot of complaints. I do believe she has to go. I think that is what the urgency is with moving. And I'm starting to suspect it's because she hasn't been paying the rent. And Pete can't afford that place on his own. So I imagine that the reason that we don't see Pete around very often is because he is pissed. Now, maybe he covers for her on live stream, but I don't know what he's saying behind her when the camera is off those 3 hours of the day. But I'm sure he's pissed. I'm sure that's not why he's around. And I also think he knows more than we realize. He's not stupid, but I do think she has him manipulated so badly that he doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, okay? He is manipulated to the extreme. We actually should have sympathy for him to an extent. I know a lot of you will disagree with that, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. In fact, conversations are welcome on this situation, because I feel like that this is taking a turn for the worse. It's getting bad. It's spiraling quickly. Pete's is intertwined. Like, where's Pete's gonna go? Like, this is going on his record. This is his apartment. He needs someone to advocate for him, because I do truly believe he is on the spectrum, and people with disabilities like Asperger's and autism are perfect victims for manipulation. Perfect victims. I know he sucks. I know he says things. I truly believe he just doesn't know any better. And I have initially I thought I hated him, but now I just have sort of a, I don't know, I have sort of a soft spot in my heart for him. I really do. I believe he deserves better than what he's given, and he doesn't know any different. Like, Chantal is all he knows. And that's his buddy. You know, that's his best friend. He loves her, and I think he knows that it's not being reciprocated. And I see his frustration. I see his anger, especially when she's like, come on, there's someone in the house. We have an intruder. And he looks like, oh, look, there's nobody out here. Wow. And I was like, get her, Pete's. Get her. And then like the next day he's like, oh yeah, I remember, I was there. And then he's like, I'm taking my food upstairs. And I was like, he's mad at her. Like, I don't blame him for 1 second. So all this shit is spiraling, and like, what is she doing? She's just driving to Montreal every day. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, all right, cool. This popped in my head, like this girl I knew when I was doing outpatient treatment. Britney Spears' Oops, I Did It Again album dropped, and her and I were like driving around sober, chain smoking, listening to that CD, Oops, I Did It Again, #free Britney. And I just remember, like, for those few hours, I think both of us were just like, okay. We were happy. We weren't on any drugs. We were sober. We were just driving around, and it was like for a little while, and this was like between relapses for me. Like, I had just gotten out of the psych ward, and I was doing outpatient, and it was going really well. I was meeting some really nice people, and I was really serious about getting sober. And I met this girl in my group, and her and I hung out outside of the meetings, and we would go to meetings together, like meetings, and then we would go for drives because it was summertime, so we were going and driving down through Seattle and stuff, through like the nice areas, and we were like just cranking Britney Spears, and just like, we were both like, because, you know, we were in our 20s, so, you know, we weren't like teenagers. Like, Britney Spears is still very much a teenager thing at that time, sort of. But her and I were like, I love Britney. She's like, me too. So I remember she came to like outpatient, and she walked in, and I was already there because my parents dropped me off. I was not allowed to drive anymore. And she comes in, and she's like, girl, look. And she pulls out the Britney Spears CD. I'm like, oh, you got it? She's like, yeah. I was like, oh. It was fun. And we were like cruising around Seattle, just, oops, I did it again. I'm not gonna sing, I'll spare you. We were just laughing, and it was all genuine. It was so nice to have that respite between tornadoes. You know what I mean? So, oh God, it was just fun. Like, God, I miss her. Anyway, the sad part is all the people that I got sober with are not around. Some are still around, but don't have the same sobriety. But most everybody I got sober with is not around, if that tells you anything. Like, there was this group of us. We got sober all in the same month. Like, there was a big rush of us, because I think people get sober before, you know, the cold weather comes in. Same thing. Like, there's a lull at the summer because everyone's going to go out and party, and then come fall, it's like, oh, let's get sober before it gets too cold out. Or I don't know. It seems to be the thing. Like, New Year's, January is also like huge month for people getting sober. But yeah, so there's this group of us, and we all got sober at the same time in September, and we were all hanging out, and we were bonding, and it was great. And we were just like, we would always like go meet at other meetings. Like, we were going all over Seattle, hitting up meetings and hanging out at like Denny's all night, chain smoking, drinking coffee, and oh, it was fun. Like, that shit is fun. That was some of the some good times. Like I had some laughs at Denny's at 2 o'clock in the morning, drinking coffee and smoking. Like it was just the best. Like we had such real conversations. Like we talked about real stuff. Like it was, you know, that we talked about deep things like feelings, hopes, dreams, our resentments. We talked about things we did when we were drinking. We talked about dark things, and then we laughed about it, and we just all like bonded, and it was the best. It was great. So, you know, I always look back on early sobriety, like early sobriety was so hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But it was also the best thing I ever did too. At the same time, like it was crazy, it was hard, it was scary. I had a new emotion every 5 minutes. You wouldn't know if I was gonna be laughing or crying or giving you the look of death. Like I had a temper, like you would not believe. I had a temper. I was so serious. I had no sense of humor. And in those times at 2 o'clock in the morning, my real self would come out and the real me would come out. And I always had this persona that I was tougher than I was because I was protecting myself. I didn't want to get hurt, or, you know, I was so confused. I had so many feelings when I got sober. Like it's just a roller coaster of emotions. It's so hard to manage your emotions when they're coming at you full force. Like you've been numbing your feelings for so long. Every time something comes up, you push it back down with drugs or alcohol or sex or shopping or something, gambling. You push it back down, and then they pop back up, and it gets harder and harder and harder to keep them down. And eventually you have no choice but just to let it all out, and it is just, everybody run. You know what I mean? Run. But eventually you get your feelings under control, and it took me a good 10 years, I would say, before I really started to chill out. You know, like the first 5 years I was just, oh God, I wasn't the best person to be around. I wasn't the funnest. I had a lot of problems, but then as you know, I chill out now, and I just enjoy life. And like I really do believe that laughter is the best medicine, and just have fun and live your life, and as long as it's not destructive, like if it brings you joy, then do it. Like go after the things you want in life. Do the things you're scared to do, because you only have one life to live. So you might as well really, really live it, you know? And drugs and alcohol isn't living. That's not living. That's hiding. Like get out and live, you know? And I want that for her. I really do. I really want her to live. I really want her to experience real connections with people. Not just her chat. Like fuck her chat. Her chat is bullshit. Like I want her to have real friends. And I know this new girl, what's her name? What's her butt? Shannon. I have a feeling Shannon's back in the picture, probably because they're birds of a feather. Clock it. But I mean, that's the only reason she's back. I know it. I feel it. She's her new buddy. Where's Raina? Who knows? Raina's not into this shit. None of the people are into this shit, you know? But, you know, have real connections with people. Like, really have to see her, like, have this evolution and evolve and change and actually be a real friend to Pete's. The friend he deserves. You know, be a real daughter. Be a real sister. Be a real productive member of society. Like really take ownership of your life and yourself, and have real goals that you actually are working towards. Like why does she think we don't want that for her? Like that's how fucked up her brain is right now. Like she can't see that that's what we want for her. She can't see that when we say we're concerned about her health, she thinks we're fat shaming her. When I say I'm concerned about the state of your organs and your health because I want you to stay alive, she's gonna say I'm fat shaming her. If I say I want her to quit doing drugs because they're gonna kill her and that it's not living, she thinks I'm trying to silence her or whatever the fuck, or I'm lying, I'm making stuff up, even though she knows good and well I know exactly what she is doing. So I don't know what else to say, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go do some true crime research. Very excited about it. And I'm gonna start, really working on it. I think I might tell my trainer at the barn, I might show her my YouTube channel. Just because I feel like she might actually receive it well. I kind of gave her a little hint today because I was chatting with someone in a live about horses, and the girl was like, what breed's your horse? And I was like, well, it's not my horse. And then I had a moment where it's like, oh my God, what breed is Keebler? Keebler is my lesson horse. She's not my horse, she's my trainer's horse. But my trainer says I'm her human, so Keebler and I have been working together for a couple of years, and she's my bae and I'm her human. She's sassy. Anyway, so I texted my trainer. I was like, this is so random, I'm so sorry, but I'm having such a brain fart. What breed is Keebler? And she texted me back, and I was like, thanks. I said, I'm just chatting with strangers on the internet about horses, and we're just having a bonding session. And she wrote back, oh, I love it. And I feel like I could tell her, and if I told her, I might be able to do some barn vlogs and not feel so weird about it. Like if my trainer's like in the know, like, I don't know, I think I might be able to do something. Like maybe my trainer would just take my camera and just get some shots of me. So I'll see how that goes on Monday. I'll let you know. I feel like that would be fun too, because like I'm not gonna stop. I won't stop on Chantal. Like she doesn't trigger me at all. Like honestly, I'm sitting here like Team Chantal. Like truly, I am pulling for her. She pisses me off to no end, and I will continuously call her out on her bullshit. I will continuously say, no, you're lying. No, you're not. No, this is what's happening. And I will continuously express my concerns about her, but I am pulling for her. And so I'm not gonna stop talking about her, but I do like to focus on other things that make me happy too, and I think things that you might enjoy. And I know y'all love the true crime, so I promise I'm working on that one now. And I think it would be kind of cool to do like a little barn vlog. You could watch me just look like shit on the horse. Like I'll probably the time I get footage, it'll just be me looking like a sack of potatoes on a horse. But yeah, I'm really good at this. Yeah, you guys, so good at what I do. Look at me, I look like a sack of potatoes. So good. Yes, critique my writing. But hey, it's all part of the process, right? At least I get to do it, even if I do look like shit. It's hard work, okay? There's a lot to writing. But yeah, so lots of stuff in the works, Anyways, I just want to shout out, to all my people watching this video who are in sobriety. If no one's told you today, I'm proud of you. You guys, I want to throw this out here too. You guys are staying sober through a global pandemic. Okay, Bill and Bob didn't even get to do that. Like they missed that one. We stayed sober through a global pandemic. Like, do you guys realize there weren't any meetings except on Zoom? Meetings were, nope, not safe either. I could not imagine being in early sobriety during this pandemic. So if you've made it through this year sober, if this is your first year of sobriety, oh my fucking God. You are a rock star. You are a rock star. You are amazing. You are a force to be reckoned with. You rule. I applaud you. Like I luckily have a good foundation under me, so that when this shit hit the fan, and it was hard, this year was hard, like everything's kind of opening back up again where I live, and like a lot of the the restrictions are being lifted. This year was hard on me emotionally, as it was for a lot of people, but like also remember it's so hard on people who are getting sober, because there is a level of support that you need in order to get through it, and it was essentially taken away by the pandemic. So if you managed to stay sober through this, I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge you and acknowledge how amazing that is. And oh my God, yes, good on you. So proud of you. I'm so proud of you. So proud. Keep it up, man. Keep going. Keep on keeping on. One day at a time, man. One day at a time. Like, you got through this. Like, you've got to, don't rest on your laurels, but you've got to feel good about that. And you need to acknowledge that. If you haven't acknowledged that, you need to, because it's amazing. So anyways, I'll stop being sappy and anyways, I love y'all. Take care. As my good friend says, drive fast, make good choices. I'm gonna start saying that because I love it. Anytime I talk to her, she's like, drive fast, make good choices. That's gonna be my new catchphrase. Drive fast, make good choices. Love ya. Take care. Bye.